Hey, once again, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Happy summer. It's still summertime. Come on. Can I get some smiles out here? All right. You guys are like too late. All right. Hey, I am so glad that you guys have joined us today, whether you're connecting with us online or you're with us in person. I'm thrilled that you're with us because today, my friends, we're kicking off a brand new series here at Timber Creek called No Offense. No Offense. Now, you might ask yourself, you heard Travis just a minute ago, and you're like, why would we do a series on offense? And the answer is really quite simple. It's because there's a lot of offensive people out there. Am I right? Not in here, out there. There's a lot of offensive people out there. And those people, they do all kinds of stupid stuff, and we know that, right? We've seen it, we've witnessed it. And those people, they're the same ones. Listen, I'm on your side. Those are the same people who don't apologize to you when they should, right? They're the same people. Now listen, we may have to start over here if I don't get a little bit more energy out of this crowd this morning, right? Now, those people, they are the ones who are hard to live with because they're just so offensive. And so I thought, man, we just need to take some time to have a series here to deal with those people. Now, raise your hand if you think you know who I'm talking about when I say those people. Those people, right? Now, don't point your hand at them because they're crazy, but those people. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about when I say those people, I'll tell you, those people are the ones who think that everything revolves around them. They're the ones who think that everyone was meant to do everything. Now you're starting to point fingers, right? Everything that they want. They're the ones who think that they know everything about everything, and every opportunity they have to tell you, they're going to tell you all that they know every chance that they get. And here's the deal, you know this, there's almost always one of these people at every big family gathering. How many of you guys know that? It's true, right? Now, if you're thinking like, there's not somebody like that in my family, it's probably you. You're probably the one. And so, right, so before we face the reality that we are actually, oftentimes, we are those people, right? Today, what I want to do is I want to act like it's not us. Can you do that with me? We're going to act like it's everybody else. It's not us. Everybody else is just so offensive. Are you with me? Can we do that today? All right. Everybody else is just so offensive. So here's the deal. If they're the offensive ones, that means that we're the ones who get offended. And that's the perspective that I want to talk about today. What it is when we get offended in our life. So, the name of the series alone is actually pretty challenging, no offense, because if you're honest, we get offended at a lot of things. There's all kinds of things. Usually it's people's words or maybe their lack of words. Maybe it's their response or maybe their lack of response. I mean, we can get offended at somebody if they cut us off in traffic, am I right? We can get offended if we cut them off in traffic and then they give us the bird. Now we're offended at them. We started it, but we're still offended, right? We can get offended if somebody misses our kid's name when they're reading the honor roll list, and we're just offended. I can't believe it. We're offended if somebody talks trash about one of our sports teams. Anybody in the room, you're like that? All right, we've got a cheer in the back. Listen, I have a friend who literally posted a list of people's names on his front door when it was game time, people who were not welcome in his house because they cheered against his team. Right? Now, admittedly, these are kind of some small things, but you know this. You know that there are actually some pretty big things that happen that cause offense. Maybe it was somebody who ridiculed you in front of others, and it offended you. Maybe it was somebody who betrayed your confidence. You trusted them with something, and they betrayed it, and it offended you. Maybe it was somebody who disrespected a family member, and we know this. Those kinds of actions, they can genuinely cause a deep offense in our lives. And so today is actually going to be very foundational for the next few weeks here for this series, because today I want to encourage you to see offense, every offense. I want you to see offense in two stages, okay? Two stages. If there's one thing that we're going to get today, by the time we leave, it's really understanding what these two stages of offense are. And I want to give you these two stages up front right away, and then we're going to kind of circle back to them and break them down. Now, this is such a big deal. I was just trying to think of what's it going to take for everybody to retain this. So I'm going to ask you to talk with me here a little bit. You're going to repeat something in just a moment. It's very simple, and you may even want to snap a few pictures, some slides here, because I want this to really sink in with you and for you to be able to retain this at least through the next few weeks as we're doing this series here. So stage one, everybody say stage one. Stage one. Stage one is the feeling of offense. It's the feeling of offense. It's how you feel when an offense comes into your life. And I'm sure that many of you have had this happen to you in the last month. You've had it happen to you in the last week. Some of you it happened today. Somebody said something, somebody did something that caused you to feel overlooked, caused you to feel maybe insulted, caused you to feel maybe taken advantage of, or maybe not considered, and so you felt offended. And because you're human, this feeling is not something that you can necessarily control. It happens to everybody. Everybody feels offended at some point in their life. So this is stage one. Now, stage two. Everybody say stage two. Here we go. Stage two is the choice to live offended or not. And this is the stage that a lot of people are actually unaware of because they think that because they feel unoffended, it leaves them with no choice but to live offended. But just because you felt offended doesn't mean that you have to live offended. Let me say that one more time. Just because you felt offended doesn't mean that you have to live offended. And I want you, I'm telling you, that's good news for us. Okay, that's good news for you. I want us to learn something today that could actually set you free and it could change your life. And I mean that seriously. Discovering how to live without offense will change your life. How many of you guys know that's true? Discovering how to live without offense will change your life. So I want to circle back to this because this is something that really has to click with us. And my hope today is that you leave here different, changed, different than when you came in. And this may sound a little bit complicated, but it's really not. Stage one, again, is when someone presents you with the opportunity to be offended. They do something that doesn't sit right with you, and you feel it. Now, you know this. They may have done it intentionally or not. How many of you guys know that there are so many people in the world who are just looking for reasons to be offended right now? You guys experienced that before? My wife and I were on a flight just a couple of days ago. We dropped our daughter off and in Florida, and the woman across the aisle from her, we'll call her Karen. Karen was a part of a seating issue on the plane. And the stewardess asked her if she could see her ticket. Now, the stewardess had asked about 6 people if she could see their ticket because she's trying to solve the seating issue, right? Karen is upset that the stewardess asked to see her ticket. And she said, "I told you this is my seat, and you're calling me a liar. And I am offended." The stewardess says, "Ma'am, I'm just trying to get everybody in their right seat, right?" And she says, "Well, I'm in my right seat, and you're calling me a liar, and I am offended." And as it turns out, guess what? Karen was not in the right seat. But it didn't keep her from hitting the call button just a few minutes later to get another stewardess back there so she could continue to complain about how offended she was that somebody asked her to show them her ticket, right? Now listen, you know this. There are a lot of people in the world today who are just looking for things to be offended at. It seems to be part of the culture that we're in today. But let's refocus. Back to you. Stage one is when someone genuinely presents you with the opportunity to be offended. And let's say you didn't go looking to be offended. They just came and they served you a great big glass of offense. It could have been a family member. It could have been a coworker. It could have been a friend, right? Maybe it was your kid's teacher. Maybe it was your boss. Whoever the person was, you feel that what they said wasn't right. You feel that what they did wasn't right. It was hurtful. And there it is. They're offering you this great big glass of straight up offense. And because you're human, it bothers you. How many of you guys have been bothered by it before? It bothers you. And so you look at it and you can't believe it. I can't believe it. So you look at it from a different angle and you can't believe what they did, and you react a little bit. You invite some friends over, and your friends look at it with you, and now they're offended for you. How many of you guys have friends that are like that? Now they convince you, right? They're offended for you, and this is where we have a choice to make. And this is the question that we all wrestle with. Do I drink the cup of offense or not? Do I go from feeling offended to living offended? And this is what happens in stage 2. This is what stage 2 is about. Stage 2 is about drinking this poison. And what's so deceptive and what's so scandalous about offense is that you drink the poison and you're wishing harm on the other person, though. And that's not how poison works, and you know that. And so this series is for those who want to live a better way. They're willing to set the cup down in order to grow, in order to see God produce life in them. Because the choice to not drink the poison, the choice to just leave it there, you still see it, you still know what happened, but the choice to not drink the poison is the choice for a healthy soul. It's the choice for a peaceful mind. It's the choice for a fulfilled life. And sometimes you have to fight the urge, am I right? You have to fight the urge to not drink it because you want to grab it. When they offer you that offense, you want to grab it. There's something inside of you that wants to grab it so bad, wants to drink it down, but it's a choice you make. And you can make this choice. You're capable of making this choice. Because of Christ in you, you can do this. I want to convince you of this. You can do this. You can make the choice to not take an already bad situation and add something toxic on top of it. Like you can make the choice to not drink the poison that they offer you. And so let's let Scripture walk us through this now. And we're just going to kind of hover over a few verses here with the time we have left. First of all, offense is certain to happen. Jesus told his disciples, offenses are going to come. And he said it's impossible to avoid this in life. Everybody is going to face this. So no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter what your past is, you're going to find yourself in a situation where someone is going to pour you a great big glass of offense because you're going to feel overlooked, you're going to feel insulted, you're going to feel betrayed. It doesn't mean you deserve it. It means that everyone is going to face this because we live in a broken and a sinful world. You're going to face it. And you know this is true. Anywhere that we interact, like anywhere that people interact with other people, there's a certainty of offense happening. Anywhere that people interact. In our home environments, there's an opportunity for offense. In school, we know it's true in school. We know it happens at work and at church. Oh my goodness. At church, the devil has a heyday with getting church people, with Christ followers, to get offended at each other. You know it's true. Listen, people get offended at pastors all the time because of what they said or they didn't say. And I just want to be honest with you, okay? It's really hard having a job where you talk for a living. I'm not kidding, right? I know this because of years of doing this. I use about 4,000 words every Sunday morning from the platform. About 4,000 words. I probably use another 1,000 out in the lobby just greeting people, right? Which means that there are 5,000 words that could come out wrong, or they could be taken wrong and they could cause offense, anywhere that people interact, there is the opportunity for offense to happen. And then you think about this. On top of that, we've got all of our hot topics. We've got politics, we've got race, we've got gender, you name it. It doesn't take long for you to find somebody who sees the world differently than you do. And as soon as they open their mouth and they start talking, you are probably going to get offended. It's getting really quiet in here. I tried to work you up. It's getting really quiet now. Listen, the presidential election is this year. Talk about barrels of offense that are just served up around the country. And you know this, you know what's crazy is that like we'll find a group that we get offended at. And then we'll get offended at another group because they didn't get offended along with us at what the other group said. And so we're offended because of what they did. We're offended because they're not offended with us. And it's this horrible cycle. It's nuts. But let me just put it this way, right? Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say. Being offended is inevitable. Living offended is a choice. Being offended is inevitable. It's going to happen, but you don't have to live offended. Our culture today would tell you that you have the right to be offended, though, and they want you to drink the poison, but they don't consider the high cost of living offended. And the cost of drinking the poison, we know this, it kills. That's what offense does. Scripture points to a better way. So the Apostle Paul was talking to a group of believers in the city of Corinth, and he's talking to them about a brand new day of freedom because these believers they're coming out of legalism. And so they used to be following these 613 laws that the Jews were bound to. But now they're not. Now they're following Jesus. And Paul writes a letter. He writes a letter to parent them. He writes a letter to instruct them. And I really want you to lean in to what he's saying here. And here's what he says. He says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Now, Paul's not saying that you can go rob and steal and kill now. He's saying, listen, you have choices to make, but not every choice produces life. Like you don't have these 613 laws that like dictate life now. You have choices now. But not every choice produces life. So just because you can choose it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you or for your loved one. We're going to be talking about offense here again. So just with me here. I'm on 2 social media community pages where people have gone absolutely nuts posting all their offenses. Like it's just overrun. You probably are part of those as well. It just causes me to like unfriend, leave the group, whatever, because I'm just, they're posting all their offenses for the masses to see there. And they're hoping to convince other people to drink the poison along with them. Have you guys seen that happen before? Have you seen it, right? So someone has taken an offense to something, and now they're recruiting other people to do the same thing, to see it the way they do. Now, if I could be honest with you guys, we're all guilty of this at one point or another in our lives. We try to convince someone else to be offended at something that we're offended at. We drank the poison, and now we're offering it to those around us. So listen, it's permissible for you as a believer to speak your mind. I get it. My question to you today is it beneficial to you? Is it beneficial to others around you? You convinced them to be offended. You convinced them to drink the poison. Is that really what you wanted? Because offense is this toxic, destructive poison that takes everybody down. I've been in meetings before where somebody got offended at something that was said in the meeting. And then the meeting changed because now this person is recruiting a team of people to be on their side so that they're offended as well. It's kind of like a playground ball game where they're like choosing teams, right? And before long, not only has it destroyed the meeting, but it destroys all the unity within the organization. And there's just so much division. This was such a big issue in the church that Paul actually addressed this to multiple churches throughout scriptures. So in Galatians, he says, people are going to agitate you. People are going to offend you, but you're free people. So don't let it get your flesh all riled up. People are going to offend you. Don't let it get your flesh all riled up. In Colossians, Paul straight up tells them, you got to have more grace for each other because everybody's got their faults. And he said, forgive everyone who offends you. Like this was a real issue. So when somebody offers you this big glass of offense, Paul's saying, don't use your freedom to drink the poison. You could say it this way. He says, don't use your freedom to live offended. Use your freedom to live free. It sounds redundant. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's just saying, listen, you got the choice. You can choose whether or not you drink it. Use your freedom to choose to set it down. Use your freedom to actually live free. So let's bring it home here. And this is where we're going to land today. Something written by King Solomon. King Solomon was one of the ancient kings of Israel, and Solomon provided this incredible wisdom for his people. Check it out. This is what he said. He said, it's to a person's glory to overlook an offense. Like this is what's going to produce life in you. Now, what does it mean to overlook an offense? Well, it doesn't mean pretending it doesn't happen. It's not saying something didn't happen. It's a conscious decision to set it down and to let it go. In other words, it's like this real-time decision. As it's happening, I'm going to choose in the moment to not let what that person said or didn't say or did or didn't do, I'm not going to let that get into my heart. In fact, the word overlook that he uses here in the original Hebrew, it literally meant to pass over. Right? So it's to your glory to pass over an offense, to not let it get inside of you. You could say it this way. It's to a person's glory to pass on drinking the poison. It's to your benefit. It's to your glory to pass. No, thank you. It's to a person's benefit. It's life-giving. It's to your glory to pass on drinking the poison. Anywhere that people interact with each other, offense is going to happen. We're all going to feel offended, but we don't have to live offended. You with me? All right. We're going to wrap up pretty quickly here. But I'm hoping today that you would pause for just a moment here and you would consider the high cost of living offended. The high cost of drinking the poison. What is that going to produce in you? What is it going to produce in your family and your children? What's it going to produce in your friends and your loved ones? Because once again, being offended is inevitable. Living offended is a choice. And we're going to pick up right here next week. We're going to continue tackling this topic of offense in part 2 of what we're calling no offense. No offense. Now, I realize we've all walked this path before. None of us are exempt from it. I realize how hard it is to move on from an offense. When something happens, if you've experienced something in the past where it was hurtful, where it was unfair, where it was offensive, and maybe you're here today and you are still holding on to that, I want to pray with you. I want to pray for you that God would just give you the grace, the wisdom, and the strength necessary to put down the cup and to stop drinking from it. Don't let that offensive event cause a life of pain and toxicity. So in a moment here, our prayer teams are going to be up here, and they're going to be up here through the rest of the service, and they're going to be here to pray with you specifically, maybe on something very specific that happened. It seems it should go without saying, but I just want to remind you, these are incredibly confidential prayer moments where you can come and you can say, this happened. Would you pray for me that I wouldn't live offended? And our prayer teams would love to pray for healing in your life and for you to be able to set the cup down, to walk away from it. It's to your glory. It's to your glory to pass over it. And we're going to continue talking about this topic because it actually takes a while. I think today was a warm-up for you. I think today maybe got you thinking about it. I want to remind you, you can do this. You can set the cup down. You can. Because of the power of God in your life, you can choose to not live offended. You can do this. And it just maybe got you thinking today. And I want to encourage you. We're going to go into our final song together, and it's going to be a perfect opportunity for you to just kind of get private with the Lord in the next couple moments and to take to Him maybe something that He's just been popping in your mind in the last few minutes, that you know that you're still carrying, you feel it. As soon as you start talking about it, you feel that offense rising back up because you're carrying it and you're living with it. But I want to encourage you in these next few moments to ask the Lord to help you to set it down, to walk away from it, for Him to produce life in you in place of it. Would you guys take a moment here and stand with me? I'd like to pray for you before we sing this final song together. So if you would, just take a moment here. If you'd bow your heads, close your eyes. We're just going to pray. We're just going to pray here. Lord, you knew this would happen. Like you knew that we would face offense in this world, and you did as well. We've not faced anything that you didn't face on your own. But Lord, we want to say thank you for walking us through some of the toughest places, some of the toughest circumstances in our life. Thank you for being faithful to us through it all. But right now, God, right now, Lord, I pray, I ask for those who are still holding on to the pain and the offense of what happened. The pain or the offense of what was said by someone, maybe someone that was so close to them. Maybe it was a stranger, maybe it was a family member, whatever it was, Lord, I pray for that person that's still holding on to that offense, God, and I pray that you would give them the grace to put it down, to no longer live offended. I ask this all through the power of your Son, Jesus. Everybody said.